Is anyone here from the Elks Lodge? The Elks Lodge. Okay, that answers that question. Thank you. And Steve's almost ready. That's all right. We want to make sure we're doing everything right? Okay. Christina, you okay? You ready to go? All right. Welcome, everybody. It's actually a little past 5 o'clock. We're ready to get started. Welcome to our city council meeting. We're going to go ahead and get started correctly with an invocation from Father Rob Willman from the Grace Episcopal Church. If you want to come on up.
Let us pray. Direct us, O Lord. Carry us on by thy gracious assistance, so that all our prayers and our works may begin in thee and through thee be happily ended. Amen.
Thank you for that. Just as a little side note, today is the National Day of Prayer as designated by Congress and proclamation from the President of the United States. So thank you for being here and thank you for doing that, Father. We'll go ahead next with the pledge, which Councilwoman Larson has graciously agreed to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please stand. Repeat after me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and forego the proclamation until we get someone here from the Elks Lodge, so that might be another week, if that's okay. Okay, next up, it is the first meeting of the month. Oh, yes. Yes, thank you, Natalie. Okay, so we do have some recognition. Scott Taylor, you're here. Come on up. And we just talked about this, and yet I just tried to skip you. We've done that twice to you tonight.
Yeah, I'll make up for it. The Water Services Department, and especially the wastewater divisions, we don't like to get recognized very often, because when we do, it's usually when something bad has happened. So I'm grateful for the opportunity that we have tonight to recognize some of our employees for the great employees that they are and for the great job they do for the City of St. George. City of St. George, we are a member of the Water Environment Association of Utah. It's a professional organization. It's a subchapter of the Water Environment Federation. It's a global organization recognizing professionals in the water and wastewater industry. So every year we have an annual conference held at the Dixie Center in April. We were very well represented at the conference, and we had several employees and programs receive recognition and awards at that conference. So I wanted to take some time tonight and recognize some of our employees for the great job that they do. First of all, I'd like to introduce you to Jared Gentry. If he can come on up. And Jared has been with the City of St. George since I think 2014. Come on up here. He is a supervisor at the wastewater treatment plant. He does an awesome job. We've got a brand new process, really brand new treatment plant. that has been challenging to get it running efficiently and effectively. Jared has taken a lead role on learning this new plant and does just a great job. He was selected as the wastewater treatment plant supervisor of the year for 2025 throughout the whole state of Utah. So I wanted to recognize him for that. He was given an award at the conference. The city also received an award for the outstanding pre-treatment program for the whole state of Utah. So I wanted to bring up, stay here for a minute, Jared. I wanted to bring up our pre-treatment team. Juliet Curtis is the pre-treatment coordinator. She's been with the city since 2016. Heidi Mathis is the pre-treatment specialist. And then we've got Daxton Ewell and Milo Farnsworth. Mine's going blank. Both pre-treatment inspectors. So out of the whole state of Utah, they were selected as the best pre-treatment program in the whole state. So I'd like to recognize them for that. They do a great job. They're the front line at the treatment plant of making sure that nothing enters the treatment plant that we can't deal with. So they are very involved in the community and the commercial and industrial businesses out in the community to make sure they're not sending something to us that we can't handle. So I'd like to congratulate them and appreciate their job well done. And then I wanted to take a little bit of time. Come here, Julie. Julie was awarded the Golden Shovel Award at the conference. The Golden Shovel Award, she was also inducted into the Select Society of Sanitary Sludge Shovelers. And it's kind of a lighthearted award, but it's very prestigious throughout the wastewater professionals in Utah. You can't apply to this, that you have to be selected. And Julie is well known throughout the state as the go-to person for anything pre-treatment. So this organization, they call it the 5 S's because it's just shorter that way. The 5 S's of Utah acts as a service organization meant to honor those who have gone above and beyond their roles in wastewater. Again, they're selected, they're not by application, and this program or this society has been around since the 1970s. And Julie truly does go above and beyond. She currently serves as the secretary of the Section 8 or Section 8, Region 8. EPA has different regions throughout the country. She's the secretary of the Pre-Treatment Association for Region 8, which covers Utah, Colorado, South Dakota, North Dakota, Wyoming, Montana. So she truly does go above and beyond. She's very well recognized throughout the state, again, as the go-to in the state. Anyone that has any pre-treatment questions contacts Julie. So we appreciate her. She does a great job. She's very passionate about her role in the city and in pre-treatment. And in a couple of weeks, we'll hear more from her when she, in a work meeting session, when she talks about the pre-treatment program. So again, I just wanted to recognize the great employees that we have. And maybe if I can have the rest of anyone wastewater come on up and join the crowd. And if we can get a picture with the council, that'd be great.
Absolutely. Let's get a picture. Council, get your photo position ready.
Okay, everybody up here.
Mayor, you want us down there too? We look weird standing back here.
I do too.
Okay, get it nice and tight. Oh, get it nice and tight. I'm at 0.4. Let's get 2 rows. We get 2 rows. Some of the less tall in the front. There you go. Okay. Here we go.
Council, any comments on any of that? Anything you wanted to say?
Yeah,
Thank
I
you,
do want to
Zelda.
say something before they leave. That is an incredible group of people. People never care about wastewater until they have a problem with wastewater. They are such an inventive crew. I get to sit on that staff meeting occasionally and to listen to how they have saved a lot of money to our residents in cleaning that facility and taking care of our wastewater, in preventing issues that none of us will even know about because of their work ethic. The way the leadership team works at water is amazing. You can take it from Scott all the way down, that he incentivizes his people to be thinkers and they work off each other so well. It's just a great coordinated effort, especially at wastewater. And I know water doesn't love it when I say that, but I love what they've done and how they do it.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, if there's nothing else, now we will move into our comments from the public section. This is the first meeting of the month where we have public comment on those things that you want to address the whole council on. Just a couple of real simple rules. You must be a resident of the city of St. George. The public input shall not be allowed on any agenda items. So if there's an item on the agenda tonight, please don't speak to that, or pending land use application. Comments should relate to city business. Speakers shall be courteous and show respect. That should go without saying. And no profane language. So with that, I do have, and you do need to fill out a little form. So if you haven't done that and you need to still do one, fill it out and give it to Christina. But I do have 3 here, and I'll just call them up as we go here. Robert Herifko? Did I say that right? Okay, come on up. Want us to talk about construction hours?
Yeah. So last week at about 1 a.m., there's a lot of noise in the neighborhood. And so I think that it continued to increase and it got to a full crescendo between the hours of 2 to beyond the rest of the night. And so I went down there to find out when it was going to end. I have a mother with dementia, and anyone that understands what that's like, we've been her primary caregiver. She's 91. And so it's quite disturbing to her. She got very confused by the noise. And then I have young children. So what happened was I just went down the road and to find out what was happening. And there was a gentleman there. I asked who was in charge there. And there was a concrete foreman. So I told him that, hey, the noise that you're making is disrupting the whole household in the neighborhood. And he said that it was agricultural land, and it's not agricultural land. I confirmed with the Public Works Department. The Public Works said it was residential. I think R110, I believe, is what it was, and it's at the end of Little Valley. So I said, well, this is not residential. And then his response to me was, he said, the F-bomb, you, get off the property. And this was a surprise. But anyway, so, but the fact that he said that it was agricultural property seemed to indicate to me, because it clearly wasn't, and he would clearly know that it wasn't because it was in a residential street, that he must have known that it was not. And I think that he was using that for cover. So anyway, what I did was, after he dropped the F-bomb on me, I went home, called the police, and see if there was anything they could do. And they said, no, there's not, because they said that the ordinance for noise, there is no ordinance for noise. They gave me a code section, and that was confirmed by the Public Works Department, and that's code section 4-9-7. And that's what I got back from City Works, but Public Works. But what they said is that it applies to dust specifically. And so if there's noise, they can pretty much do what they want. With regards to the dust, I guess it's from sunrise to sunset, or Saturdays from 8 o'clock on. And so it didn't apply to our circumstance. So I guess they can do what they want. So what I did in the morning was I called the number on a sign there from the builder. And I'm not going to bring up the builder specifically, because I think this has more to do with the noise situation overall, and I don't want to make it a personal thing between me and the builder. But the builder's response was kind of interesting. What he said was that he supports what the concrete foreman said, including, I told him about the F-bomb. He said he supports all of that. He said that he doesn't care about my mother with dementia, and he doesn't care about the children waking up. I mean, this is like direct quotes. It was like beyond shocking. And he said that kids these days need to toughen up, and that maybe being woken up in the middle of the night is probably good for them, because they shouldn't be coddled so much. So that's what he said. And he said that it was people like him that have been responsible for building the city of St. George, because he said the city of St. George has been built on concrete. And he said, you should just put in earplugs and just go back to sleep. So I said, hey, can we just tone the conversation down and be reasonable? And his response was to hang up the phone. So it seems like he displayed a total disregard for any of the people in the neighborhood or anything else. But I guess the bottom line is that it apparently, I'm being told by the police department, and I'm also being told by your Public Works Department, that you do not have an ordinance that would cover that type of circumstance, that it specifically talks about dust. And so I guess what I would say is I just leave it up to all of you to maybe address that if you feel like it's appropriate, because otherwise they can kind of do what they want throughout the middle of the night. And concrete is not a dust-oriented type of activity, but it's really noisy.
So you might have some wrong information.
Oh, okay.
If you would like, our city attorney is right there. He'd like to step out in the hall and give you some information and some things that we can do, plus what we already have on the books that might be very helpful for this actual situation,
Okay.
if that's okay.
Yeah, well, thank you for your time. And all I would say, I've been here in the city for about 10 years, and appreciate what everyone here is doing, working hard to accomplish, because it's a great city and it's a wonderful place. I know it takes a lot of effort, and that's all I have to say.
Perfect, thank you. And I think Ryan will be able to shed some light on that for you.
Sure.
So, thank you. Kurt Storwoyd. Oh, there you are. Come on up. National Day of Prayer.
That's what we're going to talk about. Well, good afternoon, or good evening, I guess I should say, to Mayor Hughes and all the city council. It's good to see you all, and you're all looking good. Life must be fine. It's always nice to follow the wastewater people. They do a good job, by the way, but it was kind of a joke. This morning, I listened to Mayor Hughes on the radio, and one of the things he got in trouble right off. They were talking about Mother's Day this weekend. You might want to ask him what he said about that. Something about his wife not being his mother. I think I've gotten in that trouble myself, and I don't know if he rescued that or not, but whatever. I'm here to talk, and Jimmy, Mayor Hughes, talked a little bit about today, National Day of Prayer. And I wanted to talk a little bit about it, and won't take long, but there's some things that I'd like to see happen here in our city, and I think it would be good. Our country was founded and dedicated as a Christian nation, and we should never forget that. On April 29th, 1607, a nation was born. Travel-weary Englishmen landed in Cape Henry on the shores of Virginia and laid the foundation of what would be the most powerful country the world has ever seen, our country, the USA. Those Englishmen erected a cross as well as a Christian flag. America's destiny and purpose were sealed at the cross at Cape Henry. All that would follow in our nation's growth hinged on a single proclamation that this land belonged to Jesus Christ. In the Mayflower Compact in 1620, the Pilgrims reaffirmed the mission sent forth by the original Virginia settlers. They landed in Plymouth, Massachusetts, due to the high winds that blew them north of Virginia. Having undertaken a journey for the glory of God and advancement of the Christian faith and to honor their king and country, a voyage to plant the first colony in northern parts of Virginia. Do by these presents, that is, by this legal document and charter, solemnly and mutually in the presence of God and one another, covenant and combine ourselves together as a civil body politics. That was back in the day. Congress in 1952 set up a public law that said every year we shall have a National Day of Prayer in America. There is a long history of prayer in America, and today, May 7th, is the official day of prayer in America. My suggestion would be for our beloved city of St. George, Utah, to designate a day of prayer over our city that corresponds with the National Day of Prayer. Everything we have comes from the Lord. Prayer empowers us to live in a way that overcomes evil with good. That's from Romans 12:21. Though we may not always see the outcome, it creates a legacy of faithfulness for generations to come. God bless you all. Think about it for next year. Would be a good thing to do.
Thank you, Kurt. Next up, we have Thomas Quiros. Did I say that okay? All right. If I don't, repeat it when you get up here so we know how to say it. Wants to talk about a collapsed storm drain.
Yes, well done, Mayor. Appreciate that. And thank you, City Council. It's nice to be here. There is a collapsed storm drain. It's becoming a sinkhole at the community of the Homestead Farms on North Valley View Drive. So on the western side of town, not far from the Black Hill. So I just wanted to see if we can, or request a council member to shepherd that this is resolved, because it presents a challenge for the parking of that community, and two, it's a potential hazard for the people there, particularly children that like to go to things like that and explore and whatnot. And even though it's taped off, I think the city did that, and they put a big cover, like a steel cover on top of this, but that's also sinking into this recessed area. So just wanted to present that to the city council and ask for support on this.
Yeah. Thank you. This gentleman right here, that can start you on the way to getting some solution here. So he'll be able to help you with that.
Thank you.
That's Cameron. If you'll go out and he'll give you some direction there. And
Of course.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Thank you very much, Mayor
Okay.
and council.
Thank you. Excellent. That's all I have. You have any others, Christina? Okay, thank you for that. With that, we're ready to go into our agenda. And do we have any changes or?
Yes, two changes this evening. Item number 3C on the consent calendar and item number 12 will not be heard tonight. Item number 3 is the consent calendar. There's several items on the consent calendar this evening. Again, taken off item number 3C. Staff has reviewed these and recommend approval on these administrative items. However, if the council would like to remove any of these for specific consideration, we can accommodate that. Otherwise, we recommend approval.
I'm confused. Did you say the entire item 3 consent calendar or just one of the items? 3C? Okay, thank you. Mayor, having reviewed the items on the consent calendar, I'd make a motion that we approve those items as presented.
Second.
So we have a motion by Steve and a second by Natalie. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Sorry, John, before we go on, I think we do have someone here from the Elks Lodge, so we can do our proclamation, if that's okay, John. We'll go ahead and do our proclamation about Youth Week from our youngest member on the council.
And I don't even have Maverick here, who's normally here with me.
Yeah.
3 months old. Whereas the Benevolent and Protective Order of Elks has May 1st through 7th as Youth Week to honor America's junior citizens for their accomplishments and to give fitting recognition of their service to community, state, and nation. And whereas St. George Elks Lodge number 1743 will sponsor an observance during that week in tribute to the junior citizens of this community, and whereas no event could be more deserving of our support and participation than one dedicated to these young people who represent the nation's greatest resource and who in the years ahead will assume the responsibility for the advancement of our free society. And whereas our youth need the guidance, inspiration, and encouragement which we alone can give in order to help develop those qualities of character essential for future leadership and go forth to service America. And whereas to achieve this worthy objective, we should demonstrate our partnership with youth, our understanding of their hopes and aspirations, and a sincere willingness to help prepare them in every way for the responsibilities and opportunities of citizenship. Now, therefore, on behalf of Mayor Jimmy Hughes, along with the City Council of the City of St. George, do hereby proclaim May 1st through 7th, 2026 as Youth Week in the City of St. George and urge all departments of government, civic, fraternal, and patriotic groups of our citizens generally to participate wholeheartedly in its observance.
Excellent, thank you. Come on up and introduce yourself and say anything else you'd want to say.
My name is Martin Lane. On behalf of all the Elks nationwide, we are all about youth programs. We support scouting, both boys and girls. We have a national hoop shoot contest for kids. We're all about community, and we appreciate the support we get from the city. And that's all I have to say.
Awesome, thank you, and thank you for being here. We'll come down and we'll get a picture with and give you this proclamation. So.
And you guys have been around a long time, because once upon a time I won the Elks Hoop Shoot contest as a East Elementary student. So
All right, John, go ahead.
Okay, item number 4 on the agenda is a public hearing and consideration of ordinance number 2026-029, vacating a reuse waterline easement located on Lot 1, Mount Post 2 East Parcel. And Wes Jenkins will be presenting this item.
Which item is it?
Item number 4, it's the reuse water line easement on lot 1.
Sorry. So this is the Costco lot. Like originally, they had this water line, this irrigation line that came. So here's I-15. There's your connection point. Came up through there, and then along that southerly side of the lot. With the construction of the Costco development, they put the irrigation line, and it now follows the property line between them and I can't remember the name of the place. But anyways, Motozoo, thank you. Follows the property line out there to Desert Color and then goes through the road. And so they just shifted the property or the easement to that line. So the only condition on this is we haven't, I believe it's been signed by Costco, but we just will have to record the documents at the same time. They basically vacate the easement first, then the new easement will be recorded right after that. And that would be the only condition.
Is there discussion on that?
Yeah, you have questions for Wes?
Are you ready for a motion?
Oh, I'm ready for a motion.
Public hearing.
Oh, yes. Come on, you guys, don't get ahead of yourself. Okay, this is a public hearing. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the public hearing. For those of you who have come to speak to this item, come on up to the microphone, state your name for the record. Seeing none, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing and now come back to you, council.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 2026-029 vacating a reused water line easement located on lot 1, milepost 2, east parcel, south St. George, Costco.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Natalie, a second by Austin. All in favor. This is an ordinance requiring a roll call vote, so we'll start with Michelle.
Michelle Tanner, aye.
Danielle Larkin, aye.
Natalie Larson, aye.
Steve Kemp, aye.
Austin Anderson, aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Item number 5, public hearing and consideration of ordinance number 2026-030, vacating a portion of a municipal utility easement located along the north lot line of lot 121 of the White Hills subdivision.
Okay, so this one right here is lot 121. The green area represents the rear, or basically the rear property line. When they were grading the lot out there, they graded a little beyond it, and it wasn't really required open space, but it was open space that they were were showing. Anyways, they just felt like they came back to quality and asked if they could just adjust the property line to there, then reestablishing the easement line at that property line. So basically, it's a vacation of that proper easement line and it's reestablishing it on the new property line.
Questions? This is also a public hearing, so I'll go ahead and open up the public hearing for those who have come to speak to this item. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and come back to you, council.
So I just have a quick question. Where did Wes go? So what would have happened to this property? I mean, it only makes sense it belongs to that lot. Correct?
Yeah, it does. If you look, I mean, if I could show you the overall map, you could see the rest of this is just open space back in this area here.
But it wasn't protected from something else, wasn't supposed to be disturbed. It's just, should have been that way anyway, maybe?
Probably shouldn't have been because it was a fairly flat area. They were just trying quality when they did this, designated certain areas just as open space as part of their development of this area. And most of that was just the hill area that had a lot of topography.
So does that open space have to be replaced somewhere else to make the development work?
No, it was just something that was part of their development. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Any other questions?
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve ordinance number 2026-030, vacating a portion of municipal utility easement located along the north lot line of lot 121 of the White Hills subdivision.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Austin, a second by Steve. This is also an ordinance requiring a roll call vote, starting with Austin.
Austin Anderson, aye.
Steve Kemp, aye.
Natalie Larson, I.
Danielle Larkin, aye.
Michelle Tanner, I.
Motion carries unanimously.
Item 6, consideration of ordinance number 2026-031, vacating a portion of the Vista Ridge Estates Phase 2 subdivision located at 1331 North Dixie Downs Road.
Okay, so this one right here this is common area to the Vista Ridge subdivision. And really what came about was a gentleman here bought this lot here in hopes to replace the modular home on it with a new one. And it really is hard to tell you the story without showing you something else. So if you look, it's right here on this north side. The wall for Vista Ridge was built right there. So it's area that's outside of their wall and their development. The gentleman that bought that lot thought the city owned it. I thought the city owned it also. As we got looking into it, it actually was HOA property that just had never been incorporated as part of the area. You can see that there is a sewer line that goes through there. There is no easement for that sewer, I guess, on paper. And there's a storm drain line in there, and there is no easement there. So as we got looking into it, I went to the HOA and requested, could they dedicate that to the city? So we went through the process. They took a vote as an HOA and determined, because really what this gentleman wanted to do was build a privacy wall, and I'll show you really quickly here. That was another one. Let me see. Oh, you know where it is? It's right here. Oh, I guess that doesn't work. Anyways, what he did is he wanted to build a wall right down there because there's a fair amount of grade change on his parcel, and then it drops about 10 feet down to the wall. So the wall really is just a privacy wall. So what he wanted to do was fill in behind that wall, put an actual retaining wall, fill that area up, and be able to use it, allowing the city then the ability to access that sewer manhole and the storm drain line. And so that we're kind of working that through with him, but that's why we went back to the HOAs to see if they would dedicate that to the city so that then we could have access to those utilities and, if need be, allow him to put that wall in there and raise that grade up. So it did go through the vote through the HOA. We did get there. There was exactly 67% that voted of the owners in there, and there was 100% consent, and so it passed because we had 67% vote, and every one of them voted yes. And the reason we're doing it through ordinance is the plat was done in the mid 80s, so no one has the line work, anything. You'd have to go back through and recreate the whole plat. It is by state law. You can also do it through ordinance, and that's why we're going through this process instead of amending the plat.
Any other questions for Wes? If not, this is not a public hearing, so I would come back to you for your...
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we approve item number 6, ordinance number 2026-031, vacating a portion of the Vista Ridge Estates Phase 2 subdivision located at 1331 North Dixie Downs Road, as presented.
Second.
So we have a motion by Steve, a second by Michelle. This is also an ordinance requiring a roll call vote, starting with Natalie.
Natalie Larson, I.
Danielle Larkin, aye.
Michelle Tanner, I.
Austin Anderson, aye.
Steve Kemp, aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Item 7 is a public hearing and consideration of resolution number 2026-008R to review and approve amendments to the fiscal year 2025-26 budget, and Jared will present this item.
Thank you, John. Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, council members. We have 3 requested fund adjustments. I'll go over all 3 of those and then can be opened up. So the first one we have, the Golf Division request to add funding for the award of a contract to design a new pump station at Sunbrook Golf Course. The Woodbridge pump station was originally built in 1989 and the Black Rock pump station was built in 1996. Both show serious signs of wear and tear from decades of flood along the Santa Clara River and are in need of replacement. Working with the water department, it was determined The most economical approach was to combine both pump stations into a single new pump station. The cost of the design portion of this project is $168,448. The FY 2026 budget included funding for $60,000 towards this project, leaving a balance of $108,448 needed to fund this design for the design portion of this project. Funding for this project is available in the Gulf Reserve within the general fund established at the end of the fiscal year 2025. Staff requests to amend the budget in the amount of $108,448 to design a new pump station at Sunbrook. The second adjustment, the Parks and Community Services Department requests to add funds for the Fort Pierce Wash Trail project. In November 2023, voters approved a $29 million general obligation bond to fund trails, parks, and park facility improvements throughout the community. The Fort Pierce Wash Trail is a GO bond funded project that includes the construction of a trail from the Virgin River South Trail close to St. James Park following the Fort Pierce Wash south to the Little Valley Sports Complex. The total budget for this project is $2.5 million. Funding for this project was not included in the FY 2026 budget. Staff requests to amend the budget to add the bridge portion of the project and to roll over funds from the FY 2025 budget for design cost in the amount of $456,400. Funding for this request will come from the GO bonds issued for this project as part of the FY 2024 issuance. Staff requests to amend the budget in the amount of $456,400 for the Fort Pierce Wash Trail project. And then the third budget adjustment, the Parks and Community Service Department requests to add funds for the Santa Clara River Trail project. The Santa Clara River Trail is a GO bond funded project that includes the construction of a trail from Cottonwood Cove Park to Mathis Park. The total budget for this project is $3 million. Funding for this project was not included in the FY 2026 budget. Staff requests to amend the budget to add the bridge portion of the project to roll over funds from the FY 2025 budget for design costs in the amount of $447,282. Funding for this request will come from the GO bonds issued for this project as part of the FY 2024 issuance. Staff requests to amend the budget in the amount of $447,282 for the Fort Pierce Wash Trail project.
Any questions for Jared on those three amendments?
I don't have any questions, but I have a comment. Two of the items that were mentioned here, and I think were items 3A and B on the consent calendar, and I appreciate staff's willingness to dig in and get creative and pull each of the projects that were put out to bid together and award them to different contractors who were willing to save some money for the different parts of the different bridges. And I just want to compliment them on doing everything they can to make it as economically feasible as possible.
Thank you. Any other questions before I open the public hearing? Okay, this is a public hearing, so I'll go ahead and open that public hearing for any who have come to speak to this item. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and come back to you, Council.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve resolution number 2026-008R for the fiscal year budget amendments as presented by Jared.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Danielle, a second by Austin. This is a roll call vote, starting with Steve.
Steve Kemp, aye.
Austin Anderson, aye.
Michelle Tanner, aye.
Danielle Larkin, aye.
Natalie Larson, aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Item number 8 is the submission and filing of the FY 2026-27 City Manager recommended budget with the City Council. Robert will be presenting this item.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm excited to be here tonight at the culmination of so many months of work for the Council, our executive team, the budget team, and staff. We began this process in December, and so we're super excited to be here tonight to present to you the fiscal year 27 city manager recommended budget. And then following tonight's meeting, it would also be available to the public on the city's website. Development of the budget is an intensive process that involves significant time and effort across the organization as we work to fund the projects and services that meet the needs of our growing community. This budget is not just a financial document, it's our action plan for delivering the high-quality services that residents, businesses, and visitors rely on and expect from the City of St. George. The fiscal year 27 budget was developed in alignment with the City Council's priorities as outlined in the fiscal year 27 business plan and reflects commitment to strategic planning, targeted investment, and strong financial stewardship. Major investments in this year's budget are aligned with the City Council's priorities identified in the 27 business plan as we discussed and finalized during our goal and budget retreats earlier this year, and are focused on delivering measurable results across key service areas in the budget. Some of these items of note include enhancements in public safety through staffing additions, technology and equipment, and facility improvements, critical utility and transportation infrastructure improvements, continued expansion of our parks and trails through the 2023 GEO bond, voter-approved GEO bond, targeted initiatives in financial stability, operational excellence, workforce development, and customer service. On the revenue side, I'm pleased to note the fiscal year 27 budget does not propose a property tax increase. Fee adjustments are proposed across several services to help keep up with the growing cost of providing service. The fiscal year 27 combined budget across all 40-plus funds totals $540.2 million. The budget's balanced and continues to support the city's long-term financial health. Again, the full recommended budget will be available for public review on the city's website following tonight's meeting. And as part of this year's process, there will actually be multiple opportunities for our public to engage and to learn about and to provide their feedback on the budget directly through the city's website, through a feedback item that we've included on the website, and attending this year's budget open house, which is planned for June the 4th, or attending one of the two public hearings, which are tentatively planned for June the 4th for the first public hearing and June the 18th for the second public hearing. Staff is proud to present the city's recommended fiscal year 27 city manager recommended budget to the city council and community. Again, it's the culmination of hours and hours of work for the council, for the city manager's office, for our budget team and all our directors and all of our departments to deliver a balanced budget. And we look forward to hearing the council's feedback and the community's feedback over the coming weeks as we complete this year's process. Tonight's item has no action, so I'd be happy to answer any questions the council may have.
Any questions for Robert? We don't have to, as he said, we don't have to take any action on this, just has to present it. And if you have any questions.
Looks like a lot of good reading material. We're all up here just like thumbing through it. It is a lot of work. It's a lot of work for each one of the department heads. I know you've been working on this probably since October and then meeting with department heads since that time. We've had some good meetings and I look forward to discussing this more at length in the near future.
Okay, go ahead, John.
Okay, the next item is item number 9, a public hearing and approval of the program year 2027 annual action plan for the community development block grant program.
Okay, so actually it's the program year 2026 and the fiscal year 2027. It's the third year of the 2024 to 2028 con plan. So the city receives the Community Development Block Grant award from HUD, and this year the annual action plan went out for public comment beginning on April 17th, 2026. And it'll conclude on May 18th, 2026. Thus far, we haven't received any public comments. The grant amount received this year is $651,481. It's a little bit higher than last year, so we saw a little bit more this year. This year, we're going to we do have all the public services that we give money to, and then we're going to focus on public improvements for removing barriers for ADA accessibility in the LMI areas. And the award came a little bit late, so the plan's due on June 2nd this year instead of in May. And if you have any questions, I can answer those.
Brenda, I just had one question. You do such a good job with this, and I read through the whole thing, like all the different avenues that you're going to try to get comment and all the different groups that you're coordinating with. But year after year, we never have any public comments. And I just keep thinking, as hard as you're trying to get public comment, I'm surprised that we haven't been able to get people to comment on this. And so it's just something that I think maybe we as a council can try to support you to get more people to give feedback on this. Because every year it shocks me that we don't have public comment. But thank you for everything that you do. It's a lot of work.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Brenda? This is a public hearing, so I will go ahead and open up the public hearing for those who have come to speak to item number 9. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and come back to you, council.
I will move to approve the program year 2026 annual action plan for the community development block grant.
Second.
Motion by Michelle, second by Danielle. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Item 10, consider approval of ordinance number 2026-032, amending the prohibited use of ignition sources fireworks map. And Chief Stoker will present this.
Yes, good afternoon, Mayor and Council. This again is our annual ordinance update for not only fireworks but ignition sources in specific areas of the city. While state code does not allow us to ban fireworks, it does allow us the opportunity to restrict the areas of use, and also with other types of ignition sources. So we have not changed the map this year. It's still the same as last year. It will be an interactive map like it has been in the past, so that it can be easily accessed either by phone or on our city website, and can zoom in and show those individual neighborhoods, whether you're in a restricted area or not. And then we also still have the 19 parks that we allow fireworks to be discharged in during the state regulated dates. We appreciate the Parks Department allowing us to do that. We work closely with them to make sure there's not issues there as far as cleanup and those things. And our residents have really done a good job when they do go to those parks, cleaning them up after themselves. And it's really been a good working relationship to be able to have those areas for the residents to discharge fireworks in.
Questions for the chief? None? Then I entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion, but I was just going to say, Chief, you usually announce where do people find this map once we have it in place?
It'll be on the main city web page. As soon as you log in, we'll have a link right there for it. So it's very easy to find.
Okay. So, Mayor, I will make a motion, if my computer will cooperate, to approve ordinance number 2026-032, amending the prohibited use of ignition sources fireworks map.
Second. We have a motion by Danielle, second by Steve. Second by Steve. This is an ordinance requiring a roll call vote, starting with Danielle.
Danielle Larkin, aye.
Michelle Tanner, aye.
Austin Anderson, aye.
Steve Kemp, aye.
Natalie Larson, aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Item 11, consider approval of ordinance number 2026-033, amending city code sections 10-13E-4 landmark sites and 10-17B-9 requirements for specific conditional use permits and 10-19-5 off-street parking requirements.
Okay, you may remember this when we brought it to a work meeting in February. And so currently, conditional use permits for designated landmarks are limited to low-impact professional office, retail, and restaurant use. And to be granted a conditional use permit, the owners must make substantial investments to upgrade the property and enhance its historic significance. So, like John read with the item, we had to amend 3 sections of code. So the first section for landmark sites, we're just adding the use there, a private school serving students through grade 8. And then in this section, this is the section that talks about the specific requirements for a certain type of conditional use permit. So this is where we put in things that you may want to limit or just to mitigate conditions in the neighborhoods. So we talked about a limitation on the maximum number of students, and we put 30 maximum students there, but then it could be limited based on conditions within the neighborhood. As you know, historic homes could be located anywhere in the city. There may be mitigations that you might need to make just based on where it's located and what the actual neighborhood is like. And anytime in this code that it talks about the land use authority, it would be talking about the council, because you're the ones who approve the conditional use permits. Then the second item talks about preserving the historic character. The third item is about the hours of operation, and that you can determine what the appropriate hours might be, that if they're going to have weekend events or after-hour events, they would need to get a special events permit. And then drop-off and pickup activities should be only at the designated spots shown on what they turn in as their site plan. So you would see that with the conditional use permit when it comes through. And then traffic circulation, the same thing. They would turn that in as their site plan when the conditional use permit comes through. So the off-street parking, we used the same model for off-street parking as we did with the live-work units on the downtown. I don't know if you guys remember, but it does have a diagram that shows specifically how that would work with off-street parking. And then we took from the work meeting that on-street parking could count for 50% of the parking, and that would be only to the adjacent to the property. And then parking requirements are 1.5 spaces per teaching station plus 1 guest parking per 15 students. And then the outdoor activities should be located and designed to minimize impacts, of course, on the neighborhood, and you could mitigate that if you should see that it would need mitigated in certain conditions. And then that last one is just that you have the right to mitigate things based on what was turned in with the conditional use permit, should you see fit. And then this one is just to spell out the parking in our parking section. It's the same as what was in the special requirements section. So 1.5 spaces per teaching station plus 1 guest parking space per 15 students. And the Planning Commission held a public hearing on March 24th and forwarded a positive recommendation with a unanimous vote of 6-0. No public comments were received. And the applicant is here if you have any questions for them, or I can answer any questions you might have.
Brenda, that's what I was just going to confirm, because I assume this was made in collaboration with the applicant and they're okay with everything that's in this ordinance. Okay.
Brenda, I had one question. The more I thought about it, this parking, no parking in the front of the house, if you were taking an historic home
It just means in the front setback, like on the lawn.
right. Well, so that's what I'm thinking is if there was a curved driveway that came right up to the front of the house, that actually might work really well for a school and also on a
Sure.
historic home. So would this prohibit that from being a possibility
No, because
for
that
them?
would be a driveway already. Like, that would be an improved surface, so I don't think that would prohibit that. I think it's intended for, like, the
if there's a front yard
area.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
You could put that in your motion, that if there's a driveway in there, that wouldn't apply.
Like you thinking a circular driveway? It makes
Yeah.
sense. And,
It
and
does
for
make
safety for kids and be able to buckle in and buckle off the street.
Other questions?
Just to be clear, this was public notice to the neighbors, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Or, well, no, I'm sorry, because this is a zoning regulation amendment, there's no neighbors to notice. It applies to the entire
Citywide.
city, yeah, because it would be with historic landmarks.
Any conditional use permit would be notified, the neighbors would be notified as a CUP.
Great. Other questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve ordinance number 2026-033, amending city code sections 10-13E-4 landmark sites, 10-17B-9 requirements for specific conditional use permits, and 10-19-5 off-street parking requirements. Just amending that where we have the hatched area in the parking that says no parking in front of the home, that if there was a circular drive, that would still be allowed.
Second.
A motion by Danielle, a second by Natalie. This is an ordinance requiring a roll call vote, starting with Michelle.
Michelle Tanner, aye.
Danielle Larkin, aye.
Natalie Larson, aye.
Steve Kemp, aye.
Austin Anderson, aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Item number 13, 14, and 15 are all related, and so staff is requesting to present those items together. However, we would request 3 separate motions. Item number 13 is consider approval of the hillside development permit for the Trails East on approximately 333 acres located on the east side of Highway 18. Item number 14 is to consider approval of ordinance number 2026-034, amending the city zoning map by changing the zone from gravel and grazing to PDR on approximately 214 acres. And then item number 15 is consider approval of ordinance number 2026-035, amending the city zoning map by changing the zone from gravel and grazing to PDTNZ on approximately 10 acres generally located on the east side of Highway 18 and approximately 4100 north.
Thank you, John. And thank you, Mayor and Council. This came, or portion of this property came before you back in January, February, for the land use map to go to a commercial designation. There's about 107 acres that went to commercial in anticipation of future development. So some of this may look a little bit familiar. We kind of looked at the layout in general, but we didn't get too far into the weeds. So there's a lot of moving parts to this, so I'll try to go quickly, but if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to stop me and we'll go through it. On the map in front of you, you'll see areas that are bounded by a kind of a pink line. You'll see area that is outlined in blue and hatched, and then you'll see an area that's outlined in red and hatched as well. Those areas mean something different. The ones that aren't hatched at all, those are those commercial areas that we looked at previously this year, and those will be reviewed under another application as the time comes in the future. That said, pertaining to the hillside permit, The Hillside Review Board looked at the property as a whole, the entire thing, the commercial and residential portions. And so they made a recommendation on that in its entirety. And I'll go over that here in just a second. The area that's outlined in red is an area that would be designated as a PD TNZ, and then the area that's outlined in blue would be a PDR designation. This is the land use map. You can see those areas again that were designated commercial. Those are red. And then the areas that are the remaining portion of the property is designated LDR, so low density residential, 4 acres, 4 units per acre. And then the zoning map currently, the entire property is zoned gravel and grazing. So that would change on those portions, the PDR and the TNZ portions to those respective zones. The commercial areas would stay gravel and grazing for the time being. This is an illustrative plan of the property. North is tiered left. And again, just to reiterate what John said moments ago, there are 3 portions to this. So there is a hillside, there is a rezone to the TNZ, and there's a rezone to the PDR. So just keep that in mind as we're going through this. But this just lays out the property. We really don't have that commercial element yet. Again, that'll come forward in the future on those commercial sections, with the exception of this right here. That is a small commercial element that's tied to the TNZ. TNZ does allow some commercial, neighborhood commercial to be associated with that zone as well. So let's talk Hillside briefly. The Hillside Review Board met on site back in March, at the end of March, and they gave a favorable recommendation, recommended 4-0 in favor of the Hillside permit. They did identify 3 areas that they wanted to come back and look at. So when this area of the single-family residence comes back or gets ready to be platted, they would like the chance to go back and take a look at some of those areas that they couldn't get back in there easily, and just take a look at some of those areas that are designated sloped areas. So
what was their concern with that? Like, it's too much hillside, too much slope?
It was just this how it would lay out with the plats and so forth. So there's some slope. You can kind of see that. I'm hoping you can see that better. My screen is really strange, but they've kind of tried to notch out, not have lots where those are, where those slopes are. They've actually notched out some areas and won't have lots. But the Hillside Review Board just wanted that chance to go back out there and make sure that they felt comfortable with those areas.
I was going to ask you about that too, Dan, because does it make sense for us to approve a hillside permit when they want to go back out and relook at the hillside permit?
Well, I think so, with that condition that they have that opportunity to go back out on those specific sites, on those specific areas.
I don't think it's the opportunity, it's the requirement that they have to go back, and that has to be marked clearly, the do not disturb. That would be a condition.
So essentially, the hillside development permit would approve everything except that area.
Correct.
And so that would be the request of hillside. They would basically box out that area and no approval on that portion of it.
That's probably a better way to think about it. Yeah. Other than that, the Hillside Review Board was comfortable with recommending approval, and they recommended approval 4-0 unanimously on the remainder of the hillside permit. Any other questions on that hillside? Those are good questions.
I think we just have to be cautious where we've had people in different areas encroach on hillside when they're developing and change the development. So that really needs to be watched.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a look at the T&Z. You can see, so north is now looking up. This is Movie Rock Road, and just to kind of go over that a little bit, this is a frontage road, this Movie Rock Road, which is currently under construction, which will service Rusty Cliffs, which was approved earlier this year as well, and it will serve this project as well in 2 locations, and then it will terminate here and will service probably this commercial area. They have, there is that interchange right here that has recently been under construction. They will then have access here into their project right here, and then access through the T&Z, through the commercial area, and then up into the single family as time goes on, through Movie Rock Road. So I just wanted to point that out, that's how that will function. It will not be directly from the highway, but it would be from the highway via Movie Rock Road. We have 32, they're proposing 32 units in the T&Z. There are some townhomes, 3 townhome buildings, 15 units, and 17 units of single family. Again, in the T&Z, as we have talked about in the past, has to be majority single family, so they made sure that they had the appropriate number of single family there. They also wanted to really buffer that between, and that's really the reason for the T&Z, so that they can be a buffer between Rusty Cliffs, and it would transition into the PDR that's being proposed to the south. So we don't have requirements for walls and things like that up against the commercial area. And we'll talk about one distinction with walls here in a minute when we talk about the public hearing. I'll get into that as well. But they really just wanted it to transition from Rusty Cliffs down into their project and then out into the single family portion. So that's the reason for the T&Z, is just to provide that kind of buffer between those two zones. And then this is the area for the PDR. I should mention that as part of the hillside, and I'm sorry if I'm a little scatterbrained, there's a lot to this, but as part of the hillside, there's a lot of sloped areas. So we have to remove those slope areas from the density calculations. So from 0 to 20, you can disturb 20 to 30%, you can disturb 30%, and then 30 to 40%, you can disturb 5% of those areas. And then above 40, you can't disturb any of those designated areas. So with all that, you're left with about 158 acres after you take out the commercial, and that puts them right at that 4 units per acre density over the entire residential site. That is also taking out a couple of areas down in this corner here, and on the south side here that aren't contiguous with the PDR zone. So those will be left alone, but they are not part of that density calculation either. Phasing plan. They want to start with the clubhouse down here. I'll show you that here in a second, and then they'll start with some of these stacked units. I'll show you those, and then they'll kind of work their way up this way, and then into the single family. This, again, this is just a closer up of that layout. You see, you have this. I think shows it a little better. You have townhomes that kind of are along the south and east portion of that where the hillside begins, and then you have the multifamily closer to the highway, commercial right on the corner, and then single family buffering to the property to the north.
Dan, how many units is that? Did you tell us?
Right here?
Mm-hmm, yes.
That is 607 minus. There's 607 units. There's two. I've got it written here. Actually, there are 269 that are the single families. So whatever that equals. Sorry, I don't have that number right off the top of my head, but 607 minus 269. That is the multifamily and the single family and the TNZ and the townhomes. And then these are just some drawings, they're conceptual drawings of the paseos. These are the single family homes that are in the TNZ, adjacent to the property to the north and to the Rusty Cliffs development. And these are the townhomes. Each individual unit has been designed so that they can mix and match them. So not every unit will look the same. In fact, they'll all look pretty different depending on how they put each one together. And that was important to them too. One of the things in the TNZ that they have written in is that they won't have two units of the same type next to each other. So just to give variety to the neighborhood. These are the stacked units. They meet the 40 feet requirement. They're about 37 feet in height. Trying to go through this kind of quickly. And then you have the three. This is a rendering of some of the three-story stacked units. Again, there's two different types of those, and so again, to give variety to the stacked units. And then you have a 4-story stacked unit. There's only one of these. That's that L-shaped building on the south. And this one, they are asking for a deviation to the code. The code says 40 feet, but it also says that they can ask for additional height and so they're presenting this to you with that request for a deviation. Probably the biggest reason for that, here's just some renderings of that. But this will sit down actually quite a ways down from the height of the highway. And so the justification for that additional height is that it won't be sticking up right at the highway, but the way that it'll be graded and the way that the slope and the terrain naturally occurs, it'll actually be about roughly 10 feet, about 10 feet below the grade of the highway. So it'll actually sit lower, and it won't be quite as prominent up kind of in your face as it would be if it was up higher. So that's one of their justifications, their major justification for that additional height in that one building. The other buildings all meet the height requirement. This is their amenity area: pool, clubhouse, pickleball courts. I should mention there's civic space that's attached to the TNZ, a little park up there. They provide trails throughout the development, and so they do meet the requirement for their amenity space and their amenities count. And look at what they're proposing as their clubhouse. Just a conceptual landscape plan. We'll make sure that they have street trees and the required landscaping along the highway and along Movie Rock Road, I should say. And then their proposed signage. They're proposing 4 different monument signs as part of this. With that, we had a public hearing at Planning Commission. There was one neighbor that came out, had some concerns about grading. I think you received an email from her, if I'm not mistaken. Had some concerns also about a wall. She would like to see a wall between her property and the single-family homes. I should maybe point that out really quick.
From Gabe Bowler?
Yeah, correct.
That's one of the questions I had, Dan, was how are we, obviously they can, within their own 600 and something units, the mix, we can have that conversation, but how is this project going to interact with both the Rusty Cliffs and these other single property owners to the north and the, I guess,
in the
east,
yeah,
based on the way that map's laid out?
Yeah. Yeah, so Gail her property is here, along here, and she has some arenas, she has horses. So the concern, I believe, is that she just doesn't want that interface, that people bothering the horses coming to stop and create problems that way. And so speaking with the applicant, they're amenable to putting up a wall along there. I confirmed that with them just this evening before this meeting, and I'm working with her on a wall that would work for her. So,
Is there any way on that also on that deed it could be noticed that is an agriculture space, and like live next to a golf course, that you're on notice that you cannot make complaints about?
Yeah.
Those that do you mean horses, cows, all that stuff make noise and smells?
Yeah, we're looking at we're actually bringing a plat, assuming this was approved. We're bringing a preliminary plat to Planning Commission on Tuesday, and so that could potentially be a note on the final plat, that just to, yeah, like you said, put people on notice that is an agricultural area, and there are noises and smells and things that are.
It's similar to living next to a golf course, and then people complain that their home gets hit by a golf ball.
Sure. Yeah. Wes went out and met with her on site. He could fill you in on how that conversation went, but it was mostly, I think, concerns about that wall and then grading. And like I said, the applicant has been willing to work with them on that. That may be a condition you might want to put on there. That wasn't a condition that was placed in your packet, but you may want to consider adding that as well.
Dan, can you show, is it just border on the one section, or can you blow it out and see the?
It's basically this right here, right there.
Okay.
That's where she borders, and then down here is Rusty Cliffs. And so again, the applicant's been really concerned that they interface nicely with Rusty Cliffs. And so
well, Rusty Cliffs is the same developer.
Different developer.
Okay.
They actually used to own this property. I believe that they picked it up from
Are they putting a wall up as well on Rusty Cliffs? Do we know?
That was not part of the plan. No.
Okay.
Is there a reason they are not?
I haven't had that conversation with them yet. The code doesn't require them to. We just haven't had that conversation. But with that was the only public comment that was given. Planning Commission recommended on both the two rezones and the hillside with a 6-0 vote in favor of this project. If you have any other questions, they have representatives from the applicant here. I'm happy to answer the questions I can. Wes can hop in too if needed.
Questions for the applicant or for Dan? Okay, seeing no questions.
Which number would we want to, if we wanted to add that wall, which number would it be? 14 or 15?
I would probably add it to the T and Z. So that would be
15.
Yeah, 15.
And if we wanted to add the hillside, that would be on number.
That would be the first
13.
Yeah.
And maybe this is overreach, but I just feel like sometime when they start excavating, they get into areas not necessarily on purpose that they shouldn't be. And I just don't think it's a bad idea in those areas that on hillside they decide that are not to be disturbed, to just put some orange fence up before they start excavating. So when you're on that big equipment, that you don't accidentally come into the hillside and excavate something you shouldn't.
Good point. So we have 3 different items here, Council. As we go through them, if you have questions on each item, feel free to discuss them.
Mary, you ready for a
I
motion on
am.
13? Okay.
Yes.
I'll make a motion on item number 13 that we approve the hillside development permit for the Trails East on approximately 333 acres located on the east side of Highway 18, and that we exclude from this hillside permit the sections that were outlined by the Hillside Committee that were on the northeastern side.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion by Danielle and a second by Steve. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. 14.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion on item 14 that we approve ordinance number 2026-034, amending the city zoning map by changing the zone from gravel and grazing to PDR development residential on approximately 214 acres generally located on the east side of Highway 18, as presented by staff, with the caveat that additional hillside will need to be reviewed to get the final layout of the residential lots.
I'll second.
A motion by Steve and a second by Austin. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote, starting with Austin.
Austin Anderson, aye.
Steve Kemp, aye.
Natalie Larson, aye.
Danielle Larkin, aye.
Michelle Tanner, aye.
Motion carries unanimously. 15. This is the wall one.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion on item number 15 that we approve ordinance number 2026-035, amending the city zoning map by changing the zone from gravel and grazing to PDTNZ, planned development traditional neighborhood zone on approximately 10 acres, generally located on the east side of Highway 18 at approximately 4100 north, with the condition that the northern property line where this project is adjacent to property not in the Rusty Cliffs project, the developer will put in a standard 6'4" 6'4" block wall along what now is being shown as a private alleyway.
Can we add to that those people buying those lots?
Oh, yes. I'd like to amend my motion further that the plat map for these single-family units, the subdivision plat will have a note in it notifying the residents or future residents when they purchase the property that they are buying in an area that does have agriculture uses.
Second.
So a motion by Steve, second by Natalie. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, this is an ordinance requiring a roll call vote, starting with Michelle.
Michelle Tanner, aye.
Danielle Larkin, aye.
Natalie Larson, aye.
Steve Kemp, aye.
Austin Anderson, aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Item 16, consider approval of ordinance number 2026-011, amending the city's general plan by changing the land use map from commercial to MHDR on approximately 6.85 acres, generally located west of Dixie Drive and south of Canyon View Drive.
Okay, good evening, everyone. This is one that you have seen before. You saw it back at the first part of April. When this one did come first part of April, was approved with changes. Now, our city attorney says that with those changes, it needed to go back through the statutory process. So it went through Planning Commission at the end of April, on April 28th, and it's coming back to you again just for that final proposal. Just as a couple quick reminders, it's just located west of Dixie Drive, south of Canyon View Drive. Zoning is PDC and R110, and then that general plan is all commercial. So again, the original request was to have that whole piece of property changed to MHDR, and then after the conversation with the owner at that last April or the April 2nd meeting, with City Council. It was discussed to have everything that was west of that access road to be changed to MHDR, and then keep that piece that's east of that access road, keep it commercial. So again, it went back to Planning Commission. There was a public hearing. There were no public comments. There were 2 letters that were part of your packet that you probably saw and read as well. And they recommend approval with a 6-0 vote with no conditions.
Questions for Brian? If none, I'll take a motion. We're all familiar with this.
Yep. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion on item number 16. We approve ordinance number 2026-011, amending the city's general plan by changing the land use map from commercial to medium high density residential on approximately 6.85 acres, generally located on the west of Dixie Drive and south of Canyon View Drive, and as further depicted in the presentation.
Second.
Motion by Steve, second by Natalie. This is an ordinance requiring a roll call vote, starting with Natalie.
Natalie Larson, aye.
Steve Kemp, aye.
Austin Anderson, aye.
Michelle Tanner, aye.
Danielle Larkin, aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Item number 17 and 18 are related applicants, so staff is requesting that they be presented together. Item 17 is consider approval of ordinance number 2026-036 for a development agreement to address parking calculations for the Crimson Height Behavioral Health Plan development. And 18 is consider approval of ordinance number 2026-037, amending the city zoning map by changing the zone from R3 to PDC on approximately 0.80 acres located at 691 South, 300 East.
Okay. Here's the location at 691 South, 300 East, right across from Dixie High School. You guys might recognize this building. It was the old seminary building, and then they used it later for ROTC. The general plan is downtown connected neighborhood, and the current zoning is R3 multiple family. So changing to PDC, they have to propose a use list, and they're only asking for one use with this PDC: financial, medical, or professional services facility. Here's the site plan, and I wanted to show you the zone change first so that the development agreement makes sense, because it has to do with parking calculations. They are updating the site as it is an existing site. They will be installing a solid waste enclosure, as it doesn't currently have one. They're adding a one-way exiting access here that will need to be clearly marked with directional arrows. There are a few conditions on this one that Planning Commission recommended as well, that I'll have on the last slide for you guys as well. And then they're going to add some parallel parking spaces along that side. They're also going to need to install a block wall along the west boundary to provide buffering for the adjacent residential property. And on the existing block wall on the north, they'll need to bring it up to the 6-foot height up to the front setback. And then we'll talk about the parking when we get to the development agreement slides. Other than that, the site appears to meet code, and we'll look at that closer with the site plan review. Here's the conceptual landscape plan, and that appears to meet code. We'll make sure of that during the site plan review as well.
Sorry to interrupt, Brenda. In that plan right there, it looks like they're doing parallel parking on the north as opposed to the angled parking that's there now.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. It fits better with the one-way exiting lane. The parallel parking does.
Do they have to have the landscape
here's the elevation of the building. Its max height is 22 feet at the highest point, and that's well within the maximum height for the PDC zone. Here are the renderings of the building. This is the proposed south elevation facing 700 south, and then this is the west side of the building facing 300 east. Here is the north elevation facing the residential, and then this is the east elevation facing the existing parking lot.
So will you go back a couple of slides when you look at the parking?
Yeah.
Is that landscape strip on the north side?
Yeah.
Yes, the parallel parking.
Mhm.
Do they have to do that? Could we amend that so they could park on the diagonal? Would that give them enough space to do the diagonal parking and then still have the exit if we let them omit that landscape strip?
The code requires landscape strip buffering residential, and it currently exists like that with concrete there. I'm not sure.
I
deviate from.
I think the parallel parking back there. I mean, the
code?
diagonal parking would be nice if they didn't have to do.
Especially with an exit going out. Right now, they've got parallel parking for 5 or 6 stalls that you would have to somehow back out into the parking lot and then exit. Where if you're going to be extending that to an exit, one-way exit on 300 East, you could get more parking of diagonal if you use diagonal parking.
Brenda, is the property to the north residential?
Yes.
It is.
And so it requires the wall and the
It
10-foot
does.
landscape strip.
Right.
Which there's a wall and a landscape strip there. I don't know if there's a wall, but there's a landscape strip there now.
Yeah, and there is a wall. It just needs a block or so to come up to the 6-foot height.
The concern is if you take out the buffer, then you're not meeting that regulation.
I don't want to
And so
take out
we
the
have to-
buffer. I want to keep the same as it is right now, just extend those diagonal parking all the way to what will be a one-way exit.
I believe there's not enough space there to
yeah.
put that in. That's why
There's-
they have parallel instead of.
How do they have it there now? Is it not meet code?
No.
Okay, thank you.
And they also don't have the access on 300 currently.
Which if they do have the new access on 300 that we're talking about, and if you did have the room, that you could get more stalls doing parking
Yeah.
diagonal than you do parallel. But if we don't meet code for the depth,
Yeah.
I'm assuming the drive aisle isn't
They
wide
don't
enough.
have the room. That's why it's a one-way.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. And so then these are the renderings. And then here's the development agreement. So for the development agreement, the applicant is providing a service to the community. They are providing services to youth with developmental and behavioral needs. And because their clients don't drive, they're dropped off to their appointments. The applicant is proposing a reduced parking ratio. While the standard of 1 space per 250 square feet would necessitate 33 parking spaces for the building, the applicant is proposing 25 spaces, which would be 1 per 330 square feet. And so they would provide 25 spaces. Their narrative explains that the clients are dropped off to their appointments, significantly reducing the actual need for the standard number of parking spaces.
So on that, like they live there for a longer period of time, like help me understand that. Because like I go to the doctor, take my mom to the doctor, I park. Is this like a long-term 4-hour appointment, or how does that work? Like none of these people can drive, but nobody goes into the appointment with them.
Yeah, and they're learning to assimilate with society is how they explained it. They're like treating autism and things like that, so they're trying to help them.
So for
be
me,
able
this
to
sounds
function in the
similar to
world.
something we just did with the Montessori school.
Mhm.
Like they're actually physically dropping someone off for an extended period of time, then they're coming back. So it's very similar with the drop off and pick up. Like they're gonna come back and pick up their person and then leave, just like you would for any other type of schooling, that they're there for extended period of time. Is that how I'm hearing that?
And I'm not sure how long the appointments are, and maybe the applicant can explain that. I'm not exactly sure how long their appointments last. I think it probably is varied as well. But they do, yeah, he probably can explain it better than I can. The Planning Commission did hold, and there are a couple more paragraphs in there. It does state that they meet the other parts of Title 10, and that it's only Chapter 19 that the development agreement is addressing. And then Planning Commission did hold a public hearing on March 24th and recommended approval with a unanimous vote of 5-0, including the conditions listed. No public comments were received, but there was one email that was included in your packet from the Washington County School District. And then the conditions are listed on the screen with that second motion. We would want a motion for the development agreement first, and then a motion for the zone change. And the applicant is there if you want to ask him the questions about the length of appointments.
Questions?
I just have that one question.
Just one.
Questions for the applicant?
I just had that one question about drop off and pickup.
Then, oh yeah. Something you want us to share?
I'm Greg Baldery, the architect. The applicant is not here. Happy to answer any questions. At the Planning Commission hearing, it was noted that there might be a maximum of 45 people attending this building at any time. The size of the building currently can handle 89 occupants, and that's the argument for the reduced parking. Is not 89, but maximum of 45. That would be 30 visitor and 15 staff.
As the architect, you probably can't speak to the exact nature of the use of the building, or can you?
Well, I mean, it's for it's to be there for people who might get dropped off. They might be there for 2 to 4 hours. They are autistic. They are challenged individuals that are here for skill development.
Do you see, but there's not like any residential, like overnight type stays, that kind of thing. Okay.
No, this is a 9 to 5.
Last question. So the footprint of the building is going to stay the same. You're just going to do a pretty significant new design on the outside.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Do you know what the age group of the people being helped?
It would be 6 to 18 and maybe a little bit older.
This is so needed in this community.
Most of them don't drive.
Well, I think this is a needed resource in our community.
Mm-hmm.
Other questions? Thank you. If not,
Mayor, I'll make a motion. I've been driving past this. They did a new landscape, which looks fantastic. And I was just so curious what could possibly go in there. And I just can't think of a better use for this building. So I'll make a motion that we approve ordinance number 2026-036 for a development agreement to address parking calculations for the Crimson Heights Behavioral Health Plan development.
Second.
motion by Danielle, second by Michelle. Any further discussion? This is an ordinance requiring a roll call vote, starting with Steve.
Steve Kemp, aye.
Austin Anderson, aye.
Michelle Tanner, aye.
Danielle Larkin, aye.
Natalie Larson, aye.
Motion carries unanimously. 18.
Is this?
Yes.
Is 18 the one that has the conditions that are up?
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
I think, yes.
you ready? Ready for motion?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I'll
I
make
was
a
ready
motion.
a long time ago.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 2026-037, amending the city zoning map by changing the zone from R3 multifamily residential to PDC on approximately 0.8 acres located at 691 South, 300 East Street.
Would you consider amending your motion to include the planning commission's recommendations that are listed 1 through 3 on the agenda?
Spot on, Steve. Yes, I would amend my motion to include all of those
Great.
3 conditions.
Then I would second that motion.
So we have a motion by Natalie and a second by Steve. We've had plenty of discussion on the motion, so this is a roll call vote, starting with Danielle.
Danielle Larkin, aye.
Michelle Tanner, aye.
Austin Anderson, aye.
Steve Kemp, aye.
Natalie Larson, aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Item number 19 is consider approval of ordinance number 2026-038, amending the city's zoning map by changing the zone from ASBP to C2 on approximately 0.23 acres, generally located south of Flowers Way and north of Southern Parkway.
Okay, this is the location. It's south of Flowers Way and north of Southern Parkway, right between those. The general plan is commercial, and the zoning is ASBP, Airport Supporting Business Park. So this this portion of this lot was zoned as a part of Desert Canyon's master plan. And when they did that zoning, they did it more like a general plan, so in general areas and not with specific legal descriptions. And when this when this was platted, this little 0.23 acres of this lot ended up being ASBP instead of C2 like the rest of the lot. So this is just a cleanup zone change to ensure the entire lot is zoned C2. And
Brenda, has this portion of the lot been subdivided, or is it intended that this will be subdivided off to be its own lot?
No, not at all. It's just to be, this whole lot remains as one. We just
So
want
you'll have
the
one
zoning
lot with 2 different zones, or no, you're just adding the zoning of that weird
to
little
make
piece
sure
at the
that
end?
it's all
Okay.
one zone.
All right,
yeah,
thank
it's
you.
to ensure consistent zoning across the entire lot.
Okay.
The Planning Commission did hold a public hearing on April 14th and forwarded a positive recommendation with a unanimous vote of 6-0. No public comments were received. And I can answer any questions if you have any.
Questions for Brenda?
I'll make a motion if you're ready.
I am ready.
I move to approve ordinance number 2026-038, amending the city zoning map by changing the zone from ASBP to C2 on approximately 0.23 acres, generally located south of Flowers Way and north of Southern Parkway.
Second.
Motion by Michelle, second by Danielle. This is an ordinance requiring roll call vote, starting with Austin.
Austin Anderson, aye.
Steve Kemp, aye.
Natalie Larson, aye.
Danielle Larkin, aye.
Michelle Tanner, aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Item 20, consider approval of ordinance number 2026-039, amending the city zoning map by changing the zone from A1 to RE 37.5 on approximately 2.87 acres, generally located on 3430 East and approximately 2300 South.
Okay, here's the location of the lot. It's on 3430 East at approximately 2300 South. The general plan is AE, Agricultural Estates. The zoning is A1, Agricultural, 40,000 minimum square foot lots. You can see the property directly south of this is RE 37.5, and so if you choose to change the zone on this property, it would match the lots below. The applicant does want to add this area to the lots below it, so that's the reason they want to do this zone change. The Planning Commission held a public hearing on April 14th and forwarded a positive recommendation with a unanimous vote of 6-0, and no public comments were received. I can answer any questions you might have.
If you have questions for Brenda, or I'm ready for a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve ordinance number 2026-039, amending the city's zoning map by changing the zone from A1 to RE 37.5 on approximately 2.87 acres generally located on 3430 East at approximately 2300 South.
I'll second.
Motion by Michelle, second by Austin. This is an ordinance requiring a roll call vote, starting with Michelle.
Michelle Tanner, aye.
Danielle Larkin, aye.
Natalie Larson, aye.
Steve Kemp, aye.
Austin Anderson, aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Wow. Are we there? Okay. We don't have any appointments or anything. Reports. Any reports?
I have a report. The new low income housing LHC board. I was 10 minutes late to the meeting and was appointed the commissioner of it, the chairman of it. So this is the committee that meets over at Switch Point. There's a lot of people on the committee, but it determines the number of homeless people. They do the count that determines the number of homeless people in the community, which determines what our reimbursements will be from the state funding. So it is something important, and the lesson I learned was don't be late or you become the chairman of the committee.
I have one quick thing as well. I'm on the Historic Preservation Board, and I think you all got the email as well, but we are officially now on the National Register of Historic Places. So all the property owners have received letters of notification.
Excellent. Any other reports?
I just have one, Mayor. The Children's Museum, just so everyone knows, tell everyone it's open while the construction is being done. They're super grateful, but that could really negatively affect their ability to get kids in there. So remind everyone that it's still open during the construction.
It was fun to watch them up on that roof. Pretty crazy.
They're working hard.
Yeah.
They work late.
Nothing else? If nothing else, we need a motion to adjourn from city council meeting, but if you're just getting excited, we need to reconvene into work meeting. So that's the motion I need. Motion by Michelle, second by Danielle. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, reconvene. And just a reminder, the work meeting is open to the public, so if you haven't had enough, you're welcome to come on in.